Hello friends, in this video you're going to learn how you can become a full stack web developer in 2025. How you can get internship, how you can connect with community, and also learn about how you can get free resources to help your learning journey. Without any further ado, let's dive into the video. Hello, how are you, bro? Thank you for agreeing to do this with me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I saw your profile and I was like, I need to talk to you. And I feel like is your insight would be really valuable for people in Nigeria, especially people who are trying to get into software engineering and all that kind of stuff. So to kickstart our discussion, I just want to know what is the transition from Unilag to your current university and your transition basically.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Suleiman. When I received your message, I was actually quite surprised, and I was
Yeah,
honored as well that you want me to be on your podcast. So, to
yeah.
your
Thank you.
question, well, in early 2020, well, I should probably just introduce myself, right, before
Yeah.
we start.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so hi, my name is Harith. I am a full stack software developer, and I'm based in Dubai.
Yeah.
Um, I'm 23 years old and I like watching movies and I love playing video games. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's really nice.
today
I should
I'm
ask
on
the
with
question also which
Suleiman.
kind of video games you play.
Yeah, we'll probably get to that. So
Okay.
just to get to your question,
Okay.
you asked me what possibly inspired my journey from
Yeah.
University of Lagos to
Yeah.
studying in Dubai, right?
Yeah.
So in early 2020, sometime around February, basically the two main factors that influenced my decision was ASU
Yeah.
and the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. So for those
That's
of you
actually
that don't know what ASU is stands for the Academic Staff Union of Universities.
being of
Right.
Nigeria.
So in early 2020, there was a strike. So
Yeah.
the federal government did not pay the staff unions
Mhm.
of universities, the academic staff,
And
some
they went for
pending
a strike.
salary. So they decided to, yeah, they were frustrated. So they decided to like go on a warning strike. Mind you, this was a warning strike for like 2 weeks thereabout. And because there was no school, there was nothing, we went home. And
Yeah.
long story short, I stayed home for about 9 months without taking any
Yeah.
classes, without
Yeah.
any sign of resuming because of the pandemic and
Yeah.
because of the strike. Right, while other
Yeah.
schools were possibly doing online learning, the strike did not let
Yeah.
me do that. And after a while, I got tired of waiting. And then my parents also was like, you need to also move on because you're wasting time and
Yeah.
you can't afford that. So that's what inspired me to go and look for other
Scholarships and
yeah
opportunities.
opportunities. And then when I applied, I got a scholarship to study in Middlesex University, Dubai. That's where
Okay.
I have been, and I graduated earlier last sometime last year. Actually, my ceremony
Okay.
is going to be in like 2 weeks from now for my graduation.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
yeah,
have seen all your activities from your LinkedIn. It's really nice, and I
yeah,
think those are the kind of a journey that most of the Nigerian students kind of go through and strike. And one of my also thing is, I mine was I have not yet got into the university, so because of jam and COVID was there,
mm,
and I was so fortunate to be able to get admission in 2020, and I'm currently now in India, so. It was a good
yeah.
thing. I was happy and all that kind of stuff. So getting down to the question also, Harris, and what is one thing you have to say to a Nigerian kid that is trying to be a software engineer or a full stack engineer in 2025? What what are the full stack? What are the tech stack he or she should learn in 2025?
All right. Whenever someone asks me this question, I usually start off by saying you should do your research because there are a lot of fields in which you can participate
Mm.
in software engineering. You can decide to
Yes.
be a front-end engineer, you can decide to be a back-end engineer, you can decide to be a data scientist, you can decide
So
to
true.
delve into DevOps and other things. So everyone has uh their own thing that they like. For me,
That's so true.
I started out as a front-end engineer, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to start on that same approach, I would say
Yeah.
the technologies that you should prioritize learning for sure, definitely. Um, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, right? Don't
Yes, sir.
jump into any frameworks any yet. I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
yet. So these
Understand the
these
basic.
three these three technologies are the basics, and wherever you find yourself in
Yeah.
your journey as a front-end engineer, you're going to use this often than not, right?
Yes.
So make sure that you at least, I would suggest that you should build at least one project that uses
Yeah.
JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, so you can
Yeah.
understand how DOM manipulation works. You can understand
Yeah.
how um, even asynchronous requests works, just using
That's
normal
so true.
JavaScript um, without a framework. So
Yeah.
after you're done understanding the basics, I would say that you should get
Mm.
better at data structures and algorithms. There are a
Algorithm.
couple resources online that you can leverage
Mm.
to understand
Yeah.
these things better. So when I started
Yeah.
out, I used Solo Learn. I'm not sure if it's still
Yeah.
available, but it's an app that anyone can
Yeah, I
download.
know. I know. I think
Yeah,
SoloLearn is one of the very few applications that Nigerians usually look for people who are self study. I also
yeah,
kind of start kind of learning about software engineering uh with SoloLearn actually, especially with the technologies. Yeah.
yeah. So exactly. So I started using Solo Learn, and then
Mm.
I started off with Python, right? Just because it was
Yes.
easy
Yes.
and it had like a nice syntax. So that was what I started
Yeah.
off with. And I think right now, before back then it was free to
Mm.
use. Now I think they have more what's what they
Yeah.
call it? They
Advanced
have a
features now.
yeah, that you have to pay
Back
for. So
that's
if you
back
don't
then is back then it's so free it's free I think, and also does not require you to use internet, I think so. At the time
yeah,
you can just
yes,
download the app
exactly.
and you just follow up with the learning. I still remember.
Yeah,
I did remember.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you did
exactly.
mention a very yeah, you did mention a very interesting thing in regard to people choosing career path, especially in terms of software engineering, right? And you said it's really important for anybody to do his or her research. I
Own
mean, everybody
research.
should do his
Yeah.
research in that. And I did remember my cousin asked me this question some few months back. She want to learn about it. I mean, to be a front end engineer. And I told her that, look, there is a lot of field in software engineering, right? Do your research and all that kind of stuff. And if you have to be a front end engineer, be so good that your work cannot be this. I mean, you should be so good in that when someone see your work, he will really appreciate that. And is that
Yes.
so true?
Yeah, definitely. Because I can't really say that you can just start up to be a full stack engineer just
Mm,
like as a beginner. You
yes,
possibly have to focus on one niche, either
yeah,
front end development, either back end, because full stack in its
okay,
own definition is like the combination of all of
yeah,
these to basically
that's
solve
true.
a problem, right?
Yeah,
So
mm,
you need to at least start with one of them,
mm,
get
yeah,
as good as you can
acquainted.
be in that one, then go to the
Yeah,
next one, start learning
thanks.
that. As far as you've gotten to the next stack,
Yeah,
you can now start adding the full stack developer
exactly.
or full stack engineering role to to your CV and all of that,
Yeah,
because you have some kind
exactly.
of experience working with multiple stacks,
Mm,
right? And then along
exactly.
the way,
Both front end and back end.
since you're good with these particular stacks, you can now like if there's something that is new that you need to learn, it will be easier for you to learn that
Mhm.
particular technology because you have experience with programming and coding, right?
Yeah, that
And
that's so true.
just to like just to add on what I said earlier on about the DSA, like data structures
Mhm,
and algorithm, there are a couple free resources that I would always recommend. For instance,
mhm,
there's a Harvard CS50 course on YouTube.
mhm,
So basically, in 2020 or 2021, there was a lecture, or there's a CS50 course in Harvard
mhm.
that they recorded and they put
Yeah,
on YouTube for free. I think it's like a
perfect.
24-hour long YouTube
Yes.
video that
Uh,
covers a lot about DSA, and it's free to watch and
yeah,
it's amazing. It's like you're inside the
yeah,
classroom. It's like you're inside a
yeah.
Harvard classroom and the lecturer is
That's
teaching
so.
you.
Yeah, I
So
just
I
did.
always recommend that.
Yeah, that's really nice. And my follow-up question before that was how important is DSA? Because as a Nigerian, I kind of see people kind of learning to be front end, back end developers, and some of them, because most of the companies people get into, they want to get into big companies, mark companies, but those companies kind of require you to be good in DSA. So
Yeah.
how important is DSA for a full stack developer?
So software engineering basically is the definition is being able to understand how data works, utilizing the data
Yeah.
structures to basically solve a problem. Right. So there are a lot of data structures in programming, right? You have
Yeah,
arrays, you have objects, you have hash,
yeah,
you have sets, you have trees, you have binary
yes,
trees, you have nodes, you have all of these things, right?
yeah,
Your ability to become a software engineer is being able
mm,
to use all of these different structures to solve the problem that you have. So I'll give you
mhm,
a story, or just a short um, story of what I work because of limited resources, right?
mhm,
Sometimes there are projects that was worked on previously that
mhm,
you sort of end up managing, right? So
yeah,
when it comes to restructuring these particular projects, because there there's always have to be some kind of restructure when it comes to old projects.
yeah,
Since I had a good grasp of data structures and algorithm, I was able to find a way
yeah,
to make certain functionalities faster and
yeah,
cleaner for people to understand, right?
yeah,
So in that sense, that's one example of how DSS can be very important, especially as a
mhm,
software engineer. And
so-
all the time, mostly, you need to understand how fast this particular structure is,
mhm.
how 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 much memory is this particular
How much memory that
data
structure
structure is going to
can
use
exactly
exactly. So we need to make our solutions as efficient as possible
as
because
possible?
that's what the job entails,
Exactly.
basically.
That's so true
Yeah,
because users do not really care about what goes on in the back end. They just care about how fast does the website load, or how fast
yeah,
does any functionality kind of work. Kickstart on your website or on any software you may be probably developing and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
It's really interesting. Okay. What my next question would be, so I I I'm from the north, right? And to be honest, the talent, I'm a Yoruba, so by race, both of my parents
Mhm.
are Yoruba, but then
Okay.
I was born and brought up from the north, right? And one of the big problems that we are having in the north is that there's very limited kind of the route to learning is very hard. Finding a mentor, especially my route was so very very rough. So I was so
Yeah.
fortunate at the age of 7 I got my first desktop, but the only thing
Mm.
I did remember someone ever teaching me from that is how to on and off it at that age. So, and looking back, I was like, I wish I could have had someone who would put my hand and kind of help me through the journey, right? So for someone
Yeah.
in the northern part of Nigeria, how do you think he or she should find mentor or people that will help guide him towards achieving his goal?
All right. So if you grow up in the north, because I would think that you have access to limited resources. You don't have that
That
much
is
resources,
very,
right?
very limited
Yeah.
resources. That's so true.
Yeah. So for you to grow in an environment, or for you to grow to be the person you want to be, you need to surround yourself with the people that are already there, right?
That's,
So in a sense, if you have access to someone or to an establishment that does um possibly trainings in
mm,
software engineering or in making just IT infrastructures
yeah.
for a start, right? You are closer to reaching your goal than
Mm,
when you are not in that particular environment. So
mm,
I grew up in Warri, Delta State, right? And then I
okay.
also had, I wouldn't say that I had limited resources, but everyone has limited resources. It's just very subjective,
Yeah, it
right?
is common in
But then,
Nigeria.
yeah, so um, for me, what really helped me was that my parents were fortunate enough to put me through a boot camp, um, a tech boot camp in
Mm,
Nigeria, and I found I was able to meet people who were on the same trajectory as to where I want to get to. So
mhm,
I was able to network with these people. I was able to learn from them. Even from
mm,
after all of the, I was always going to this boot
mm,
camp or this particular training center on a
yeah,
regular basis from
yeah,
maybe 2 times or 3 times a week. And from
yeah.
there, after everything, I was able to build my first website when I was
Oh, that's
13. Right.
yeah,
I didn't code it. I didn't do, I just, it was just drag and drop. Then, you
yeah.
know how you can drag
Well,
a website, yeah, using WordPress and all of that.
yeah,
So from then on, at least I could say that had an interest from learning in doing this particular aspect. So I would just say, if you can, try and surround yourself, find people
mm,
who are in these
mm,
areas, right?
yeah.
And learn from them. If you cannot do that physically,
Mm.
the
Connect
world
online.
is now a global village, right? You can find people on LinkedIn. If you
Yeah,
have access to your phone, if you have
yeah,
access to data, use your
yeah,
social media for important things, just like how you're doing. Right? I
yeah.
really
That's actually,
appreciate what the work you're doing as well.
yeah,
And if you don't find people on LinkedIn, you can always go to YouTube. So YouTube,
yeah,
there are people on there that give advice, right?
yeah,
Give that tell you about their journey, tell you about things that
yeah.
you can learn in order for you to get to where you want to get to. There are people that are
Yes,
already at the top of their game and are just
yeah,
coming to YouTube to talk about what they went through on a day-to-day basis. So for instance, I'll give you an
mm,
example. For me to get a grasp of what's going on in the industry,
yeah,
I have a routine where I watch a video from,
yeah,
I'm just going to plug in here, from Prime
yeah,
Aging. So
yeah.
is the name of the channel is Prime Aging. This guy works at
Right.
Netflix and I watch him almost every
Yeah,
single night, right?
mm,
Because of what he does. He's an expert in his industry and
yeah,
I get to learn a couple things from him. Even though he hasn't met me before,
yeah,
somehow, in some way, he's giving me
yeah.
advice. He's giving me advice that helps to
Are
shape
very targeted to you.
my career. Exactly, they're very targeted to me. So
Uh,
nowadays, creators are trying to make their content as targeted as possible, and
yeah,
most of these people are targeting you. You don't just know it yet. You just have to go online and find
exactly.
them. So just
That,
to reiterate, surround yourself with people that are currently where you want to be, right?
yeah,
If you can't find them physically, go online. I would
yeah,
say majority of the world population should have access to internet
yeah.
connection. So you can
Yes,
go online, find these people that are posting content, right?
yeah,
Reach out to people on LinkedIn.
yeah. It's Seriously.
It might
It's
work,
so,
it
it's
might
so
not
true.
work. Yeah,
Yeah,
it might
it's,
work, it
yeah,
might not
not
work.
every time.
But
That's so true.
exactly. So just shoot your shot, right? Find someone that is
Yeah,
currently
and
where you want to
no,
be. And
I mean, what
yeah.
happened? If he accepts or if she accepts, whatever happened, it happens. That's so true.
Yeah.
You
The
know,
worst they can
you
say,
know.
the worst they can say is no.
Yeah,
You understand?
that's so true.
Yeah.
And seriously, that's really helpful advice. And one more thing, I think it's really important. I think for North, especially for people in the North, I think is having a very good interest in what you are doing. Because I feel like if you are just following the trend, that's very
Yeah.
high.
It's a recipe for disaster.
I mean, kind of loser because that's actually true. Because a lot of people in tech today, most of them, it's not just about what they are saying, like they will get the money and all that kind of stuff. It's about their interest, and you know that's what keep them driving. That's what keep them learning.
Mm.
That's what keep them. I mean, up to date. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, yeah,
Yeah. Someone told me something about sorry, let me just
yeah,
put this in. Someone told me about
yeah, yeah. You're welcome.
talent. It said talent is a measure of time, right? So the more time you spend in something and you get better
Yeah,
at that particular thing, the more you're going to be talented at that thing, right? So
that's so true.
if you won't be passionate, you won't spend more time in something if you're not passionate.
Yeah,
And now there's an increasing demand for talent in the industry. So you need to be
exactly,
talented for you to be
exactly,
demanded and to have a job in the software engineering space. So
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, talking about talent, right? We have a very big threat in 2025 and maybe something that have never happened in terms of tech, right? Which is AI.
Okay.
We are
Okay.
having some of the craziest, smartest, fastest tools that can do job almost way better than human. How
Yeah.
does this AI trend I mean will affect our job? I mean, as
Our
in software
jobs.
engineers.
Yeah, so if you check the top skills to learn for 2030, I think Forbes released a list of the top skills to learn. And
Mhm,
the first five, in the first five, I think number three on the list, top growing skills to learn is software engineering or
mhm,
app programming and development.
mhm.
And then
Yeah.
on top of that, you see AI and machine learning. And
Mhm,
then I can't remember what the top is, but from that list or from that research or from that report from Forbes,
information.
you can tell that software engineers are far away from being extinct or being replaced by AI. If anything, AI is here to help us grow or to help us build better stuff easier and faster.
Exactly.
What
Yeah.
I would do, what I am currently even trying to do is to make sure that I am the one that's building the AI tools, right?
That's so
Not
true.
just using the AI tools. So you should
That's so
also
true.
aspire to such skills, not just
Yeah.
using them. You should also learn about AI and machine learning, read books on machine learning, understand
Mm,
what's actually going on in the background so you can
exactly.
contribute and maybe even build something that people will also
Something
use.
that is,
Because
I mean,
if you're not building, you're using, right? And then if you're
exactly.
just using,
Yeah.
you can get. I mean, you will get your work more efficient, but also aspire to
Yeah.
understand what's going on at the end of the day. Yeah.
That's so true. I mean, if you are building, you'll be able to customize things and make things more personalized to you, and also use the power of AI to solve real problem. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
necessarily need to build a whole model, but you can actually fine tune models and solve problems, big problems, and that arise within the world and all that kind of. So I'm a machine learning
Yeah.
engineer myself. I'm currently doing my master's now,
Amazing.
and I'm trying to take on so much knowledge that I can take out of this and build projects that probably will impact the world, and also especially my country,
Yeah.
Nigeria. And speaking about this,
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about Nigeria and uh what tech can actually do in Nigeria. And one of my biggest passion is the educational sector, right? I think how, I mean, we are multilingual country. We're very linguistically diverse people. We have Hausa, we have thousands of, I don't know, hundreds of languages and all that kind of stuff. How do you think AI can come in and kind of help us to solve some of those problems, especially in Nigeria, from the healthcare system to the educational system to even government communication?
Sorry, I'm not feeling too well. But
Nice.
regarding
Yeah,
your question,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, there are a couple things that we as a nation, as Nigerians, could possibly utilize AI for, right?
Mm,
So, for instance, when it comes to um bridging the gap between communication, for instance, communication
mm.
between, since you said we have so many languages in Nigeria,
Yeah, we do have so
it could
much,
be,
a lot of languages.
yeah, there could be like this gap in the language barrier. AI could help
Yeah,
us in that. In terms
it does.
of
Yeah,
getting data, look, Nigeria has so much problems. Even talking about
yeah,
AI at this point in time is like we're reaching too far. But if it could help, I would say that we need to make sure that some of the basic things that we need in
mm.
Nigeria are solved first. So for instance, we need to
Absolutely.
have 24/7 power supply. There's no way we're able to fully utilize AI if we're not if we don't have 24/7 power supply. Right? We
That's
need to have
true.
access to fast internet connection, because if we don't have access to internet connection, how do we
Affordable
train
also.
these models? Right? How do we
Affordable
access
also.
GPUs online to train these models?
Exactly.
We need to
Exactly.
have
Aff-
security. If we're not securing the country, fam, how are we supposed to like
That's so
think
true.
about things that would make the country, that will innovate the country? You understand?
Yeah,
So if these
that's so
things are
true.
actually done first, then we
Yeah,
can talk about using AI to sort of
yeah,
bridge the
kind of
gap
help
between
them.
communication, understand the data that Nigeria has to offer, because there's a lot of data
Have
from Nigeria is so unique,
there's a lot.
and
Yeah,
just understanding how AI could get all of that data and give some kind of inference is really interesting.
exactly.
Understand?
It is a
So
very
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, it is a very interesting seeing that we are kind of seven most populated country in the world and the most populated
yeah,
country in Africa. So we do have a lot of potential and also talented people who can actually get things done. But with a little support of the people in power, most probably those things will get changed. So moving on to
yeah.
discussion, how do you was your involvement in the Google developer community club in Unilag, and also some of the communities from your university have helped you or shaped your journey as a software engineer or as a full stack developer? Is it so
All right.
important for you to join those communities and have those leadership roles? Or how was it? How did it shape?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I joined the GDSC. It was called GDSC
Yes.
back then. I think now it's called
Yes.
the GDG on campus, or on campus now. But back then it was called, is it called GDSC? It was called something else. Not even
Yeah, yeah.
GDSC back
We do
then.
have one here.
So
Is DGS. Uh,
yeah,
is
so before GDSC, there was something
something else.
else. There was something else before GDSC. But I joined GDSC Unilag when I was in my
Yeah,
first year, right? Studying system engineering.
yeah,
What I can say is I did not fully, I knew I liked software engineering,
yeah.
but I did not fully realize it until I had my first session in GDS
Okay,
Unilab. So just to plug this guy in, Sadiq Akinjobi was the GDSC lead at that time. And then we did a session on GitHub in
okay,
Unilag then. And ever since then, seeing how cool it was to work with GitHub and
yeah,
just understanding these basic things opened my eyes to like the potential that tech on its own
mm,
had to solve a lot of problems. Just that one platform
exactly.
and being around like-minded people increased my gave me a sense of belonging and also increased my confidence in going into tech, for
Yeah.
instance. So for any other person is thinking about it, I would
Mm.
highly suggest that you should join a community. Right. So
Communities, basically.
yeah, so when I was in GDS Unilag for like a year, I was just a
Mm.
member, and I wanted
Mm.
to contribute to the
Mm.
community. So I decided to enroll as a JavaScript tutor in Unilag
Mm.
then, and we were having study groups where I would hop on once in a while and basically
Yeah.
teach JavaScript to the club members,
Yeah.
right? But then that was when the whole COVID stuff and ASO stuff
Yeah.
started. So I switched schools. So over
Exactly.
here in Dubai, actually
Yeah. I mean, I saw you continued
developer,
kind of doing that.
yeah, so
Yeah.
the developer community isn't as strong as Unilag. In fact,
Mm.
Unilag has one of the strongest developer communities
Mm.
I've ever seen.
Obviously.
Right, it wasn't as strong. So we had the opportunity to sort of grow a new
Mm.
community in
Yeah.
MDX Dubai, right? So
Yeah.
I applied as a lead. I didn't get it, right? But
Yeah.
then I applied as a core team member. So I was like the
Yeah.
front end lead. So I was in charge of um teaching and talking about front end
Front
technologies
end.
and to the club members, right? So that was what I did then. We had multiple sessions on Flutter, on front end development,
Front end.
and
Mm.
on even October 1st, for instance.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, after my tenure as a GDSC core member ended,
Mm.
I was approached by a professor to sort
Mm.
of take the position of the president of the Middlesex
Yeah.
Computing Society, which
Yeah.
is an in-house student body for
Yeah.
computer science, computer engineering
Yeah.
students, right?
Students. Yeah.
So there I realized the potential of the community. We
Yeah.
were we given the opportunity to teach or to train about 100 plus students
Student. Oh,
in
that's good.
learning tech skills. So we launched
Mm.
a study group in that
Mm.
during the summer of that academic
Period.
session. We had more than 100 students applying because the school isn't entirely huge, right? We had like
Yeah.
more than 100 students
Mm.
in that applied. They weren't really huge on tech,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
we're just trying to improve the way they see
Uh,
or the way they can learn these kind of things, right?
that's
So
so
we had
true.
about 100. We trained about 100 of them in learning skills like front end, back end, mobile
Okay.
development, machine
Okay.
learning, and stuff. Now
Yeah.
the community has grown times two,
Grow.
times three. It's
Times.
still growing. So
Yeah.
and people were coming back to me and telling me that yeah,
Mm.
they were really
It,
happy about the
about
whole
the
stuff, and then they were able to learn new skills that allowed
skills.
them to like sort of get internship and so on and so
In
forth. So yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
really
I think
important.
in that kind of scenario, it's even more comfortable for students to learn new stuff from students rather than
Exactly.
professor versus
Yeah.
professor versus student. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
So one of the also problem I did actually notice, because I said I'm from the north, right? People who are actually kind of teaching in the north also, who will be like, yeah, quote unquote developers and all that kind of stuff, them themselves, they are not actually skillful, and
Mm,
or they are just bragging or saying, look, there's you're gonna make money out of it. But the reality is that they don't show people how to do all those things, right? That's why for
yeah.
me, in my one of my startup, which is called, oh, not one of my startup, which is called Smarter. First, apart from
Cool.
trying to teach in the local language, to the
Mm-hmm.
people targeted. First, we are targeting the northern people, teaching them in the northern language. First, second is to connect them with the world. I mean, try to let them know. Look, this kind of a little cycle that you are living in, that's not the reality of tech, right? Some people
Mm,
don't know basic, technologies like how to type, how to work with Microsoft Word. And one of the
Yeah.
most story that caught my eyes was when I was in GS3. I was fortunate also to learn computer a little bit early, and that is a diploma student uh, who are in their final year. So I was working in a cafe, what do you call it, cafe, right? And those guys are just learning Microsoft Word. What the hell is going on? And to be honest, right, they are studying computer science as a diploma
Mm.
course. Final year, they are doing their IT. I mean, let's talk about the Nigerian educational system and people who actually go for university route to learn software development. What is some
No.
advice you can give those people?
All right. Even I told you I study computer system engineering here.
Yeah.
I would say that most of the things that I learned, right, to be able to say that I'm a full stack development, it was mostly through self-learning,
Yes.
certifications online, and just building projects, right?
Yeah.
So school, going to school, it's not that it won't give you like the experience or the resources. In fact, it will add on top of what you are doing. School is always meant to enhance you,
Mm,
right? So I would say that do not just depend on what the resources you get from school. I would say
yeah.
you should also indulge in your own learning
Mm,
after school, read what you've done in class, then go and read their documentation on that new technology that you heard in class.
mm, yeah.
Go and build a new a project based on that technology that you learned in class. You understand?
Yep,
If you're learning about
I just want to kind
Java,
of duck cut you.
okay,
I just want to know, kind of little cut you because, so Nigerian university, most of them don't really have like practical labs. Some of them, I don't know. Unilag is a different university. It's one of the
yeah,
prestigious universities in Nigeria, right? But then some of the university don't really have like lab system. And first, and some of the teachers are actually teaching some really old technologies or really old system, and those guys are not trying to even catch up with the trend. So
yeah, yeah.
how?
I understand what you're saying. So even when I was Unilag, right, um, I was lucky enough to have a really cool um programming teacher. I
Mm,
can't remember his name, but he was young, so he was able to like he was teaching us C sharp. Some
mm,
other schools will probably teach you Fortran and Basic, which is unheard
yeah.
of in this day and age. But we were learning C sharp, which was good, right? So for the people don't have the same opportunity that I had,
Mm,
um, as I said, there are a lot of other people out there that are actually
mm.
switching jobs from either being an accountant to a software engineer. So
So
since those people can do it, you can also do it. And
hardly
most of the things that they're doing is they're possibly going online. I'm gonna say this every time. Everyone, I think as of this time, there are a lot of people that have access to the internet connection.
mm,
Don't just use it for social media. There's a lot of opportunities on there.
opportunities.
Although some of those things might be paid for, and you might not
Mm,
have access to those kind of resources, there are some
resources.
free resources that you can use, right? So after using those free resources, you can leverage those free resources, and then you can also then leverage into books. The internet
Yeah,
is full of freebies, right?
yeah.
So yeah,
Basically, in short, someone
if you
should
are
be dedicated and having the desire.
exactly, thank you very much. You need to be dedicated. You need to be diligent. You need to know that this is what I want to do, and then build
Exactly.
on top of that.
Exactly. So
Right.
because
So
I
yeah.
I have been scrolling on LinkedIn also just recently. I have seen a lot of Nigerians. Like Nigerians are very good in this. You see someone studied economics, someone studied English, and what happened? He's putting software engineer on his LinkedIn. And he's actually good. It's like he learned it. And to be honest, that's so true. For those people to be able to switch their field to a very broader field, it's really amazing. Okay, coming
Yeah.
towards this also, how does student get internship? How can you get internship after you have learned the skills? Now you feel like, yo, I'm a guru now. I'm very good at what I do.
Mm.
How do you learn an internship, especially for an ecosystem in Nigeria? I know you do not spend so much of time in Nigeria, but then if one thing you have to say to landing an internship in
I
Nigeria, how can you do?
I I spent most of my years in Nigeria. I only left
Mm.
like 4 years ago. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what I would say for someone that's looking for internship, first off, build your portfolio. You need to have some sort of proof, online proof that you can reference to when you're in interviews, right? Apart from that, um, build projects. You don't need to have a job to
Mm.
build experience, right?
Yes,
You can build your own projects. When building your projects, you learn from the mistakes that you make while building the
you make
project, right? And then you deploy it online and people are using that's the experience, right?
exactly.
Also, um, you leverage your network. LinkedIn now
Mm.
in this present day and age, you need to have a LinkedIn
Mm.
account if you're looking for internships.
Exactly.
Leverage your network, reach out to people. You might never know. They will possibly just even give you like they will possibly connect you to someone who would give you what you want.
Yeah,
You understand?
that's so true.
Right. And someone recently I was involved with the hiring process in my company and
Mm.
there was an opening. Someone reached out to me and then I was able to give the CV straight to the
So
hiring manager and
which a
then
very,
they
which is a
did the
big, big
interview.
advantage.
Exactly. So you don't know. Make sure you leverage your network as well as you can. Most of the internship positions that I've gotten was through
Mm.
was either through
Wow.
applying or through my network, someone
Wow,
referring me,
that's
and that's
actually,
the best. That's the best way for you to get a job, right?
it is the best
Also,
way, definitely.
it is the best, exactly. And lastly, improve your resume, right? So there are a couple of tools out there that will tell you how well your give you insights or basically on how to improve your CV. Right. So for
Mm.
instance, the one I use is www.resumeworded.com. It will basically
Okay.
score your CV, tell you how well your CV will um work or would
Mm-hmm.
far on will basically perform when they are like scanning it through like a CV
Uh,
bot or something like that, right? And
nice.
how readable and how efficient it is in sharing
Yeah,
the message across. So yeah,
exactly.
use these tools and you will be better than a lot of people out there that are currently applying for jobs,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Especially in Nigeria, where the I mean, I feel like in Nigeria we do have that. I don't know because I came from the north, so and I've never lived
Yeah.
in the south, so I still don't understand how talent because the people around me, I'm to be honest, they and we don't have like so much talented people in terms of, I mean, their skills are not up to that level of okay. Let's say now you be able to work in a certain company. Some people are still
Yeah.
struggling to learn Microsoft Word, and for them maybe if they learn Microsoft Word they feel like they are like gurus, and some of them are, I
Mm,
kind of be like they don't even want to share those knowledge. That's something that I'm personally experienced. People, they will have a
mm,
knowledge about something and they will not be so willing to kind of share the knowledge, which is an extreme problem in
yeah.
Nigeria. So we talk about internship. What about job? I mean, in Nigeria, or kind of getting opportunities in abroad. I mean, is it same
The
route
same,
also? Just
yeah.
leverage your network also.
This is the same thing I said earlier on.
Yeah.
Building projects because you need to have some kind of proof that you can do the
Mhm.
job that you're applying for. Leveraging
Mhm.
your network because there are so many people that are applying for jobs these days, and the fastest way for you to get a response is by someone referring you, right? Improving your resume. If you've done all of these things, and then the resume, which is the first thing that the
Mhm.
recruiting manager or the hiring manager will see, doesn't like what he sees on your resume, you are basically like gone. So you need to make sure that you have all of these
Yeah,
three things
ex-
done, gotten perfect
exactly. First get
already.
first
You
even get
understand?
shortlisted, then you even think of getting an
Exactly.
interview, or even
Exactly.
the hiring manager register hiring manager would be even bothered about your skills or something like that. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. And I think we have talked for like I think 30 minutes or so. It was
It's been 45
amazing
minutes.
talking to you. Yeah, something like that. Seriously, thank you for sharing your insight in how to become a full stack developer in 2025. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate, and I also take so much of insight from this discussion. Thank you for your time. And plus,
Thank
also,
you
I
so
was
much.
really, I'm just shooting my shot, you know. I never thought that you're gonna even pull it up. Seriously, believe me or not. But then I was like so
Right.
surprised.
Right. It's cool. Actually, what's the word? I admire your resolve. I admire your
Yeah,
consistency, right?
yeah,
It's not easy to build something, to build anything at all, right? So
yeah.
you
That's so true.
building your podcast and your YouTube
Yeah,
channel, just keep up the good work. And just before I
thank
leave, I
you.
just want to plug in some free resources. As I said,
Yes,
for people that are looking to go into software development,
something. Yes,
CS50 on
yes,
YouTube to learn your DSAs.
yeah,
Udemy sometimes have sales. It's not
yeah,
entirely free. It's not. I don't think
yeah,
there's any free one, but then they have cheap courses, right?
yes,
But then it is on sale. Microsoft
yeah,
sometimes they have a free online learning resources that you can find on their website,
yes,
and
yeah.
Coursera currently partners with a couple institutions to give
Mm,
free um,
this is,
training. For example,
mm,
Harvard and MIT. You can
mm,
find resources on those websites. So
mm.
yeah, that's all from me.
Yeah, that's so true. Seriously, it just you just kind of need to kind of search more online and probably use your internet in a more good
Yeah,
way because people
productive
are
way.
now kind
Yeah,
of just are just using the internet for things that are not really helpful for their future, to be honest. And
yeah.
that's a crazy world we are currently living. Daniel, thank you. And one more thing to close this. Can you please pronounce your name properly for me? Because I kind of was dodging that. Your full name, if possible. Your full
Yeah,
name.
my name's Harith
Harith.
Oluwatosin Onigemo.
Thank you for watching the video. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.